Hey everyone, it's your old pal NS Steampunk here, and today we are looking at an old vintage railroad signal. We're here outside the Children's Kennedy Outpatient Center Hospital here in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we got a very vintage railroad signal sitting out front here. This is the crossbuck on the crossing with a Modern Industries bracket. All of the lights here are 12 by 24 inch WC Hayes lights. WC Hayes standing for Western Hayes. Now, I'm not sure what street this crossing used to sit on at one time or where it was located, but if anyone is aware where it used to stand at, just let me know in the comments. As you can also see here, there are rails in the road. Yes, Chattanooga was quite a railroad town back in its heyday with tons of team tracks, industries where it switched out, and of course the famed Chattanooga Choo Choo Hotel. Now these rails here lead up to steam locomotive number 349, which is currently sitting on display. Let's go take a look at it. This steam locomotive was built in 1891 for the Central of Georgia Railroad and is classified as a 440 American, meaning it has 4 trailing wheels in the front, 8 driving wheels, but no trailing wheels in the back. When the engineer opens up the throttle up in the cab, that will send steam from the back end of the boiler, known as the bulkhead, towards the smoke box, and all the steam travels through these tubes, which are held by the tube sheet. Up there is the steam dome. That in turn will open up the throttle valve in the steam dome and send steam down to the piston. You have the steam chest up on top. So as steam went one way, the rod would go in the opposite direction, then reciprocate. That steam was so powerful that it would turn these drive wheels, and then the more you open the throttle, the louder the chuff, chuff, chuff became, and that in turn, with that movement, will turn the wheels and make the locomotive go. The other dome on top here is the sand dome, and what that does is that provides traction for the drive wheels. So this pipe, as you can see, comes down towards near the lip of this wheel flange, and that will squirt sand onto the rails so that way the locomotive can gain traction. So for example, if the locomotive was going up a very steep hill with a very heavy set of cars, or the rails were pretty slippery, that was the purpose of the sanding mechanism. You got your brake shoes right here. There was also brake pads. Looking up at the cab locomotive. This is on the engineer side. Let's go take a look at the other side of the locomotive. Alright, so this is the front of the locomotive where the pilot is located. That is a cow catcher, and what that would be used would be to catch cows on the tracks back in the day. Many of you have probably heard of the beginning of the Transcontinental Railroad. There were a lot of cattle that used to go along the track, and that was the purpose of the cow catcher. Now on this side of the locomotive, the fireman was responsible for maintaining boiler pressure, the fire, and water to make a safe and equitable amount of steam. Now on this side of the locomotive, you'll see an air compressor. This powers the brakes for the locomotive, so that in turn, in addition to filling up the air tanks, that will also provide brakes for the train. Right up close to the cab, behind the bell, is a very special generator known as a dynamo. Now, early steam locomotives used to have their lamps powered by an oil lamp. With the innovation of electricity and this brand new type of mechanism, that in turn would make the light brighter, so that way the locomotive engineer and fireman could see what was up the track, especially in dark conditions. This is the fireman's side locomotive. That is the footplate locomotive between the cab and the tender. Right up there you got your whistle lever, your power reverser, and your throttle, as well as your brakes. And this right here is the tender, which stores the coal and water. There's actually a very special mechanism here. This is a re-railer, so in case one of the wheel flanges would suddenly come off the rails by accident, that in turn would help re-rail the cars, especially in conditions where you run into derailments. Now that little box right there is called a journal box, and in case the bearings would overheat, you would add grease to the box so that way you don't have hot boxes. Later railroads were introduced with Timken roller bearings, which would reduce the use of friction, and therefore you wouldn't have to oil the journal boxes as often. That's the back of the tender. You have a ladder used to climb up onto the top of the tender, as well as a back headlight, and that was also powered by the dynamo itself. All right, folks, that just about does it for our locomotive tour. I hope everybody enjoyed the video. Please subscribe, give a like, and if you have any questions or anything you want to say, feel free to comment below. This is NS Steampunk wishing everyone a good night. Reporting live in Chattanooga, NS Steampunk, Tower 93, over and out.